Anyone who knows me personally knows I'm usually not interested in sports or popular culture. Even as a kid, I couldn't care less. I played sports. I had fun. Baseball, not so much basketball. Baseball and football, really enjoyed that. Sports, watching sports and following them and following teams and individual athletes never really did it for me. Same for popular culture. I watch movies, listen to music, enjoyed it, but I never had posters of Michael Jackson on my wall or anything like that because I just didn't care that much. So, for me to at least even take notice of what's going on with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, uh, that's notable at least for me and people who know me. But I think this is more than what's going on is more than just about sports or entertainment. It's making a statement about society at large. Let's talk about it. Hello, everyone. This is Keith. Welcome to the Ghetto Sapien channel, your home of inner city intelligence. So, you may have heard that Kanye West, rapper and entrepreneur, and Kyrie Irving, basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets, I believe, that they have embraced or said or posted or tweeted some egregious anti Semitic tropes. Kyrie, I believe, tweeted a link to a movie that's being sold on Amazon, of all places. And it's called Jews and Negroes, filled with anti Semitic tropes, I believe. I haven't watched the movie, so I can't say. Kanye West has have said some anti-Semitic statements in a 3-hour interview. Can't really say much about that either because I haven't watched the interview. I just downloaded it. It's strangely hard to find on the internet, but I found it, got a copy. I'm gonna watch it so I could have a better idea of what he said. But I can say this much: what they said, whether it's anti-Semitic or not, isn't really important, or at least that important for this conversation we're about to have. I think I think it's a bad sign when people are being punished for ideas or opinions that might not be popular. I think a society that encourages the private industry, in this case corporations, which can be as powerful as governments, when we encourage corporations to punish and pile on people for unpopular opinions, to me, that's a society that's in rapid decline. It's a weak society when we can't take opinions that may hurt our feelings or get people upset. That's not good. We need to be able to, have these debates with bad ideas, good ideas, or whatever. That needs to be debated and discussed, challenged, but not punished. You shouldn't punish bad ideas or unpopular opinions or anything like that. Punish actions. We could all agree with that. Bad actions, of course. You don't punish thoughts. That turns into like the Minority Report where you're punishing pre-crime. You're punishing a crime before it actually happens. People can say whatever they want to say. Personally, my opinion, you can hate me. You have every right to hate me for whatever reason. You can hate me because of my color. You can hate me because of my sex. You can hate me because my family's West Indian. Doesn't matter. Because as long as you don't take action to hinder me or harm me, you have a right to hate me. And I'm perfectly fine with that. As for what was possibly said, like I said, I heard some of the things, but I didn't hear it in full context. Doesn't really matter anyway. I can guarantee you this. Living in Brooklyn, New York, and going to the barber, I guarantee you I've heard as bad or way worse from tons of people than whatever Kanye and Kyrie reported to have said. I've heard every racist, anti-Semitic, just moronic quote I could, and you don't really say anything. It's like, look, I just want to get my hair cut and get the heck out of here. It never the speech never seemed to have gone outside of the barbershop or left the street corner. It stayed there. No actions were associated with these bad ideas, a bad speech. Most of us growing up in Brooklyn just ignored it. We thought those people were kind of crazy, and it never made us go out and want to harm anybody just because, people had some weird beliefs. Or were we stronger back then? Were we different back then or something? I don't know, because we didn't need protection from these words. When I worked on Wall Street, at the corner of Wall and William, it was pretty popular for, you'd have a Jewish rabbi, at least someone who seemed to be a Hasidic Orthodox Jew. He had his Torah. He had some guy who's a Muslim. He had his Quran. And he had a guy who represented Christianity with his Bible. 3 major religions. And almost every day in the summer, they'd be arguing back and forth and comparing parts of the books that they deemed very important and were a part of the core principles. And they debated and discussed loud. Sometimes you'd almost think they're about to levitate off the ground. They're going at it, but they never touched each other. They never harmed each other. As far as I know, they could have, and when it was done, go have a beer and go sit down and have some laughs together. You are allowed to have different opinions. You're allowed to insult or offend, and without fear of losing your job or losing your ability to earn money. The piling on that's going on, that's being cheered by a much of society, is frightening. Because, it's not just... okay, so I can understand. If you do something, if you say something, using your equipment at work, say the laptop, the email, your corporate email, your corporate laptop, you go on Twitter, whatever, and say something stupid, your job has every right to fire you because they want to separate themselves from your stupid opinion or your wrong opinion or your bad opinion or just your opinion. That's fine. But what you say in the privacy outside of work, your company should have nothing to do with that. If you're not saying you represent Merrill Lynch or Chase Manhattan Bank, you should be able to say whatever you want to say because your job doesn't own you. Your job doesn't own everything you say unless you say it in a way you're representing your company. Then they can, again, separate you from your job, and then you can have your opinion. You just can't say it under Chase Manhattan Bank, whatever. But when you see like one of the banks has dropped Kanye as a client, that's piling on. That's more than just punishing him. That's sending a message. That's just not punishing him. I'm sorry. That's sending a message to everyone else that you better keep in line. And then if you have an unpopular opinion or whatever we deem unpopular, we'll do this to you too. Kanye didn't go around representing the bank. Excuse me. So why did the bank do that to him? It's like in Canada when you had the truckers and people who seem to be supporting the truckers, the banks there tried to cut them off from banking too. This is getting out of hand because what is the limiting principle to that? Can you cut off someone's access to electricity because the private industry, you said something that the utilities don't like? Can you cut off your access to water? How about your access to healthcare? That's already happened, as you can see right here. That's been thrown out there ever since the lockdowns. If COVID vaccine refusers are turned away at hospitals and doctors' offices, is that ethical? How's that even a question? Taking vaccination status into account when deciding whether to treat a patient can be acceptable sometimes. No, I don't think that's ever acceptable unless you're talking about polio or something like that. But that's where this is headed. These left-wing ideas have no limiting principle. They just keep going. They don't know where to stop. So everyone who's saying, yeah, go after Kyrie and Kanye, again, what's happening to them is a message to you to stay in place. We should be able to, like I said, debate these ideas. We shouldn't have to be, frightened and shut down by them. We definitely shouldn't be cheering other people getting punished just for their ideas. I think how this should be handled is, I'll give you an example. When I was a kid in grade school, one of my favorite teachers, even to this day, Miss Silverman, she was unmarried, young, in her 20s, whatever. And she was a wonderful person. All the kids in the class liked her. And one time, for some stupid reason, I don't even remember why, on third or fourth grade, we started doing the Hail Hitler sign and thought it was funny. And we had no idea that it was hurting Miss Silverman's feelings until during class, she told us about what happened to her grandparents during the Holocaust and told us about the Holocaust. We just thought Hitler was some stupid cartoon character that we had seen on TV at that time, because there were old Bugs Bunny and old cartoons that made fun of him. So we knew he existed. We just didn't know how really horrible he was. So we didn't realize we were really hurting her feelings. And she gently and kindly told us what it was about. We never did it again. We felt bad, whole 9 yards. We had a chance to redeem ourselves in that way. That is how I think, if someone espouses these terrible ideas, and anti-Semitic ideas are terrible, we should confront them with countervailing facts. It's a time to educate and enlighten people, and at least give your side, your opinion. They can walk away to still be as anti-Semitic as ever, but you might have planted a seed to wake them up. You give a person a chance to redeem themselves. We can't have this. Society right now seems to have a religion that has an original sin and no path to forgiveness at all. You make a mistake and they gleefully tear you apart for it. You don't get a chance to apologize. No one accepts your apology whatsoever. I think that makes society looks bad. Looks worse than the person who's supposedly committing the act of having an unpopular opinion. In conclusion, I'll say this. I think it's ironic that the way to treat somebody who thinks a certain group has a lot of power, access to power beyond any other group, if someone accuses a group of that, the way not to punish him is to cut him off from all access of power and any access of him to that person to earn a living, because it kind of almost reinforces the original belief that's wrong or hateful or anything like that. So it tends to be very counterproductive. I think the way they're treating Kanye and Kyle Irving. But hey, that's just my opinion. It's my opinion, right? So let's hear yours. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.